So, did Deadline, NXT's final PLE of the year, really live up to all the hype? Let's break it down in the first ever episode of SuperBeard Reviews. Now, going into the final pay-per-view, or PLE as they're now called, for NXT of the year, I had a lot of expectations. For anybody who knows me, it's without any hyperbole whatsoever that I think NXT is the greatest wrestling show on television today. And their PLEs have been on this straight up climb of just getting better and better and better with each and every one. Now, up until this moment, I have claimed that to me, as great as WrestleMania 40 was, and honestly, arguably the greatest WrestleMania of all time, although that could be recency bias, I think that NXT's Halloween Havoc was the best PLE of the year. Just absolute fun from beginning to end, nonstop, thrill rides, well done, and especially for it being kind of a gimmick PLE, it really nailed it out of the park from start to finish. But Deadline is one of those PLEs for NXT that really sets the bar even higher. Last year, the Iron Survivor matches were insane, especially the men's. What Trick Williams was able to do at the end of the Iron Survivor match was nothing short of spectacular. So could they do it again this year? This is where all the expectation comes in. But let's break it down match by match. Now, the opening match was the men's Iron Survivor this time, instead of it being the main event. But that was done for good reason. There was great story into why they did that. There was also the intriguing idea of who was the mystery fifth person. Because if you had watched NXT the Tuesday prior, Eddie Thorpe, the original fifth person, had been taken out by somebody backstage. Now, when it came to this fifth person, most people believed it to be Obafemi, who had been gone for quite some time since losing his rematch at trying to get back his North American title. And we were right. And this felt like the best place to showcase Obafemi and move him to that main title picture. The match in of itself, it was All Ego Ethan Page, Javon Evans, Wesley, Nathan Frazier, current tag team champion, and then, of course, Obafemi. And the match was phenomenal. These guys went crazy, as they typically do, especially when you've got guys like Javon Evans, Wesley, and Nathan Frazier in there. Ethan Page played the perfect foil in the match, played his part perfectly. He was like comic relief and swarmy heel, which was great. And then, of course, Obafemi, to me, is the absolute future of the industry, and he came in and dominated. Man, lives up to his nickname of the ruler of NXT. But part of what made the story great was the fact that Nathan Frazier also had a tag team defense later on in the night. So he was having to pull double duty. And these Iron Survivor matches, they're no joke. It's 25 minutes, and it's grueling being in a five-way match. And then, of course, you have all those guys going crazy over and over again. And it was just a lot of fun. And while I don't necessarily believe it lived up to the wonderful insanity we got last year with Trick Williams' win, it absolutely felt right. And the wonderful double pin towards the end for Obafemi, it was exactly the way they needed to go. And I do suspect that come New Year's Evil, I think Obafemi might take the title. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. All in all, men's Iron Survivor match, 8 out of 10. A lot of fun. Didn't quite live up to last year's men's Iron Survivor match, but that's also kind of hard to do, let's be honest. Our next match was the underground match between Lola Vice and Jada Parker. And this match did a lot of good for both women. Jada Parker, who is an absolute stud when it comes to the NXT crowd, they love her, and she has really grown into herself as a performer. She really showed how strong she can be and how she can, work outside the bubble of a standard wrestling match. And this underground match did a lot to make her look good, even though in the end, Lola Vice is undefeated in underground matches, where she should be undefeated. Let's be honest. The former MMA fighter should have a leg up in a match like this. They did a great job of giving Lola Vice a kind of hindrance with an arm injury, hand injury, that was exploited by Jada. But at the end of the day, she was able to prevail in a very dominant way, honestly. And it was exactly what it needed to be. I would say that her Shayna Baszler underground match was, I don't know if I would say better. I think it's different because with Shayna, you have another, former MMA fighter turned WWE superstar, as well as a veteran of the business. And in this one, you have, an up-and-comer in Jada Parker, and Lola Vice is also still an up-and-comer as well. But Jada looked strong, but ultimately couldn't hold off Lola Vice. But both of these women were absolutely elevated by this match. So another 8 out of 10 for me, for sure. Then it came on to the tag team match, where we had Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, versus No Quarter Catch Crew, Tavion Heights and Nathan Bourne. It was crazy to go into that match fully 100%, but Nathan Frazier, when you saw him, ribs taped, nose busted, like shoot busted, bleeding, Nathan Frazier was not anywhere near 100%. Didn't stop him from running 1,000 miles an hour, though. The match went on, and I think one of the best things to come out of it was the highlight of Tavion Heights. When Tavion Heights went to Noah, he showed a side of himself that people had not seen yet. And still not a lot of people have seen it because, again, that time over Noah isn't widely known to many wrestling fans, especially the WWE fans who don't get much outside the WWE bubble. But he was able to highlight and show what he can do in this match. And Bourne also looked great, but I think Tavion was the star. And then, of course, Axiom and Frazier did their thing, as they always do. And one of the crazy things they did is they did what they almost seem to do is they work better when they're almost at each other's throats. They work better when they have a lot of adversity and tension in the group. Sam Roberts in the pre-show even mentioned this, is how they seem like when everything's up and they're doing great is when they are worse off. Like when they lost the tag titles to Chase U, they were perfectly fine. They had no tension. They had gotten past their struggles and were on the same page, and they lost. Here they are, not on the same page, bickering back and forth, a lot of stress, a lot of struggle, a lot of tension, and yet they pull off yet another victory. This match was great. It was a lot of fun. And another 8 out of 10. I recommend everybody check it out. The whole pay-per-view, honestly, or PLE. Sorry. One day we'll get that right. Then we had the NXT World Championship match. Trick Williams versus Ridge Holland. And I got to say, Ridge Holland has really shaped himself up into a very, very credible and scary monster heel. He is a threat to everyone in NXT. And it was done very well. And there was, of course, the speculation after what happened on Tuesday on the Go Home show that Trick Williams is not going to be 100%. In fact, he may not even perform. But he did come out and perform. He came out. Ridge dominated. I do think Ridge and Trick, their chemistry is only getting better. And the more they interact, the better both of them get. In the end, Trick was able to defeat Ridge. And I think the reason for that is although he is a great monster heel, they're still developing Ridge Holland, and it wasn't quite his time. But the match was done very well. It's another 8 out of 10 match. And I think that it's something that got to highlight both those guys, and especially Trick. I've seen some discord about Trick Williams since winning the title hasn't been that good, and he's better chasing it than having it. But I think this match was a great example of him being a fighting champion and a well-deserved champion. It also sets up Trick Williams versus Oba Femi, and I think Oba will be the one to finally take the belt off of Trick, because I have a feeling that Trick might be headed to the main roster with all these superstar shakeups going on and the Royal Rumble coming up February 1st. Trick Williams, I think, might be heading to the main roster. So I think Oba Femi's about to be that guy, that monster heel, almost like Karrion Kross was for a while back in NXT. So this match, I gave this match a 7.5 out of 10, just because the issue I truly had with the match was the flip to the momentum felt a little weird when Trick started getting momentum back. Other than that, though, great match. The main event, however, I think exceeded expectations, let's be honest. The women's Iron Survivor match was what we were all looking forward to. You've got Zarya, Stephanie Vecker, and Julia with Sol Ruka, who is an absolute all-star for the women's division, and Ren Sinclair, I think the dark horse all-star of the women's division. She's fantastic. And then these 3 new superstars that have been brought in with tons of hype, earned hype, and proven hype, like justified hype. Julia, Stephanie, and Zarya have been phenomenal in the short time they've been in NXT. And this match did not disappoint. Sol Ruka was exactly the highlight reel we all expected her to be. Ren Sinclair was this wonderful, again, almost like Ethan Page, but not a heel, but that kind of comic relief, but then also like the chippy upstart crowd favorite. Like people were really cheering for Ren. And I would have been shocked and yet not shocked had they pulled the trigger and had Ren win this. Because again, fan favorite, crowd was behind her. She's just that plucky upstart, sometimes not afraid to bend or break the rules, but in reality, she's, just this wonderful baby face that everybody loves. And she was great. Zarya is an absolute powerhouse, proving why she was signed. It was really smart. Stephanie's, of course, phenomenal. And then Julia is like no other. And she went on to win this match. I had actually picked Stephanie to win the match. I thought that maybe They would let Stephanie get a shot before Julia got a shot. But it looks like at New Year's Evil, it'll be Julia versus Roxanne Perez. And I have a feeling that not only will Trick lose his title, I feel like Roxanne will as well, because I feel like Roxanne's also headed to the main roster. I feel like there's going to be a major shakeup with New Year's Evil coming up. So that's going to be interesting as well. All in all, I would say that I would give it 8.5. Actually, you know what? I'd give it 9 out of 10 for the women's Iron Survivor match. I mean, all in all, I think that averages out to about an 8 out of 10 for the entire PLE. Was it better than Halloween Havoc? No. It was on par with Halloween Havoc. It was not better. That being said, it was still a phenomenally good way to cap off the year for NXT. NXT has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are the greatest wrestling show on television today. Everything they do, it's this wonderful balance of goofy wrestling and dramatic storytelling with compelling characters, up-and-coming stars, veterans that have not been in WWE before, like an Ethan Page coming in. There's been all these wonderful stories going on, and there's always these intertwining threads throughout the show, and it's done in a masterful way that, honestly, I think every show from Raw, SmackDown, AEW, TNA, everybody could kind of learn something from what they're doing down at NXT. And that's saying something, as it's supposed to be developmental. It's really proven itself to be a third brand, its own brand, and the future of the industry is all right there. There's so many up-and-coming stars coming out of it. Everybody shined in this PLE. And then there's people who weren't even on the show who have been shining. Like, we had the women's and men's North American titles were not defended on this show because they do keep the shows down to 5 matches, for tightness and proper length of matches. And it was okay. It didn't hurt them. It didn't hurt the show that they weren't highlighted. It was just really, really good. And those matches will get highlighted, I'm sure, at New Year's Evil. I think those titles will probably stay on those people. Those won't be transferred. But I'm sure they'll be contested. And that's the thing. That's what makes NXT great, is that every part of the show from top to bottom has something to bring to the show. So you don't necessarily have to try to jam all your titles into a show either. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, what you think about NXT Deadline, as well as what NXT has been like all year round for 2024, arguably their best year ever. And don't forget to like, subscribe, all the stuff you're supposed to do. And we will see you guys on the next review.